Welcome to Lionel Nation Part 1. We have a great show for you.
Everyone loves that clickety-clack that's coming down the track. They can't ignore that all aboard, smoke pouring out the stack. Hear that whistle blow as the train pulls out of the station. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel Nation. Clouds of smoke are rising high into a big blue sky. Down the line, right on time, a train is rolling by. Everyone turns around and stares in anticipation. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel Nation.
The vision we have for Lionel Nation is to cover all things Lionel. Layouts, tips on operating, a look at some Lionel classics, and interviews with collectors. We'll talk about the latest from Lionel, plus anything else having to do with the Lionel Train Company.
Engine shining gleam, that mighty sound and steam. Pistons pound around and round, just like in a dream. Another train pulls in and arrives at its destination. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel Nation. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel Nation.
We feel video is the best way to capture the fun and excitement of Lionel trains. Because with video, you can see the action and hear the sounds. And with Lionel trains, hearing the sounds is a very big deal. That's why our first story in this, the first edition of Lionel Nation, is The Sounds of Lionel. Lights, color, action, sounds. That's what model trains are all about. And with electronic technology, what it is today, toy train sounds have surpassed the wildest dreams of pioneers like Joshua Lionel Cowan. But long before the new electronics, Mr. Cowan had begun to think about adding sounds to his toy trains. Lionel's first attempt to make toy trains sound like real trains was a gimmick called the chugger. This was in 1933. The chugger was actually a small electric buzzer that was supposed to sound like the chug-chug of a steam locomotive. It didn't. It sounded like a small electric buzzer. In 1935, the greatest innovation in toy train sound history was introduced: the steam whistle. The Lionel promotional copy made you think their new steam whistle was more important than, say, oh, scientists inventing frozen pizza. But Lionel's new whistle was pretty cool. You press a button and bingo! You hear a two-tone, mournful whistling sound. Close your eyes and you could almost see a real steamer passing in the lonely night. People loved the new whistle. Lionel steamers, both O-gauge and standard gauge, sold like hotcakes. But this was the streamline era, and new diesel streamliners were the rage. So when Lionel came out with their Flying Yankee and City of Denver, they added a whistle, not a diesel horn. Problem was, it was the same whistle they put in steamers, but nobody cared. The Depression was winding down, and people were just having fun playing trains. Lionel introduced their steam switchers in 1938. They came with a mechanical bell. That was a nice touch because real steam switchers rang their bells when they were working freight cars in the yards. World War II, train production was put on hold as toy train manufacturers switched to making things for the war effort. But after the war, Lionel went right back into train production. In 1946, the big news was smoke and knuckle couplers. But the whistle continued to be a staple on Lionel steam locomotives. In 1947, Lionel introduced a new electric locomotive, the GG1. It came with a doorbell buzzer sound that was supposed to sound like the real GG1's electric horn. It didn't. It sounded like a doorbell buzzer. Next, Lionel introduced an engine that was to be their best seller ever, the gorgeous F3 diesel. This was a great model, but the horn was a simple battery-powered bicycle horn. Most diesel locomotives Lionel produced up until 1969 featured the horn. Unfortunately, if the D-cell battery was left in too long, it would leak and damage the frame. In 1949, Lionel included a new mechanical bell in a couple of their diesel switchers. It sounded okay, but you couldn't turn it off. This tended to annoy parents if they were nearby trying to read the newspaper. In the mid-1950s, toy train sales started to decline. By 1969, Lionel was almost out of business, so they made a deal with General Mills to take over the manufacturing of Lionel trains. General Mills had lots of new ideas. One of them was the mighty sound of steam. This was better than the chugger of 1933, but not much. They should have called it the mighty sound of static. They also added a new electronic whistle sound. It sounded cold and hollow. It didn't have the soulful, realistic sound of Lionel's original steam whistle. Another miss was the electronic diesel horn in 1973. It didn't sound like a real diesel horn and was an erratic performer, so Lionel stopped producing diesel horns. In the early 1980s, Lionel came up with a new, more reliable board, but the sound wasn't much better. Another sound feature developed in the 70s was the mechanical sound of steam. It was basically a wheel filled with BBs that rolled along the middle rail, a low point in the history of toy train sound, at least from a design standpoint. On April 25, 1986, Richard Kuhn purchased Lionel from Kenner Parker. Dick had been a Lionel enthusiast since his youth and came loaded with ideas on how to improve Lionel trains. On the top of his list was the development of a new sound system. He called it Rail Sounds. The first engine to be equipped with rail sounds was the B6060 steam switcher in 1989. The steam whistle sounded like a real steam whistle, not like an electronically manufactured noise. Also new was a crisp, clanging bell, combined with a more distinctive chuffing sound. When the steamer came to a rest, you heard the whooshing sound of steam being released. Lionel diesel locomotives now came with a realistic sounding horn, clanging bell, and the roar of a whirring diesel engine, which would change octaves depending on the speed. All these enhancements were a giant leap forward in the sounds of toy trains, and were met with enthusiastic acceptance by operators everywhere. In 1992, legendary rock musician Neil Young joined forces with Kuhn to create Lion Tech. Like Dick Kuhn, Neil was a Lionel enthusiast and brought a new perspective in electronics that helped advance the rail sounds concept and create the Trainmaster Command Control System. An improved Rail Sounds 2 was introduced in 1994, and over the years, Liontech has continually improved and enhanced the sounds of Lionel trains. Toy train sounds made a giant leap towards realism. Blow the steam whistle, close your eyes, and this time you were sure a real steam locomotive was passing.
All passengers, the Olympian Hiawatha has arrived.
Union Pacific 4006, all clear ahead. You are good to go. Over. Thank you. We are clear. 4024 out.
So we've come a long way since the Lionel Chugger of 1933. But sometimes, after hearing all the fancy new sounds, it's nice to go back and hear just the sound of a toy train clickety-clacking over the track, and the sound of an old-fashioned toy train steam whistle.
Tom Septon of San Diego accumulated one of the finest standard gauge collections and built one of the finest standard gauge layouts in the world. His collection included some 7,000 toy trains and accessories in mostly O and standard gauges from manufacturers such as Carlisle and Finch, Voltamp, and Lionel. In 2004, after Tom died, the Septon family donated the collection to the California State Railroad Museum. Not only did the Septons donate the collection, they also generously donated money to create and maintain the exhibit. The museum designers did a fine job. Display cases for the collection are housed in handsome, life-size replicas of legendary Lionel trains and accessories. There's the Lionel City Station, the 155 Freight Station, and a green Lionel State Set passenger car. Displays include toy trains from every era, starting with floor toys from the mid-1800s, including the U.S. Grant from 1870. The first toy train made by Joshua Lionel Cowan, the Electric Express from 1901, is on display, along with the rare Lionel Brass No. 7. Reproductions of toy train catalog covers take us back not only to the golden age of toy trains, but also to the golden age of the art of the illustrator. The largest is this 14 by 10 foot reproduction of Lionel's 1929 catalog cover, which greets visitors as they enter. Because Tom's collection was so big, only part of it is on display at any one time. This means the chances are good you will see something new each time you visit. The operating layout is located in the center of the exhibit. It measures 33 feet wide by 12 feet deep. 2 standard gauge loops are on the bottom level, 1 standard gauge loop on the middle level, and an O gauge train operates on the top level. Original accessories include the Hellgate Bridge, roundhouse sections, the 840 power station, and all variations of the 155 freight shed. The trains operating on the layout are reproductions. The originals are on display behind glass. Tom was able to find the extremely rare rubber roadbed that Lionel made for its standard gauge track. The track sits loosely on the rubber bedding, allowing for a nice clickety-clack sound as the wheels pass over the rail. The rubber roadbed also helped keep the noise level down. Recently, the museum expanded on its toy train theme to include Small Wonders, an exhibit introducing visitors to the magic of toy trains, the joys of collecting, and the enduring place toy trains occupy in American popular culture. The space in which the new exhibit is located has been renamed the Thomas W. Sefton Gallery. That was fun to see. Tom would have been proud. A well-designed animated display explains how a toy train works. It traces household current from a wall outlet through the transformer to the track, through the train, giving it the energy to move, then back to the wall outlet. Another interesting display shows the different sizes in which toy trains are produced. The California State Railroad Museum is one of the top attractions in the world for railroad buffs. The museum features 21 meticulously restored locomotives and cars, including 3 gorgeous American types, a cab forward, and a Western Pacific F3. Dioramas featuring incredibly lifelike mannequins illustrate how railroads shape people's lives and the hardships railroad workers endured to bring rail travel throughout California and the West. The museum designers use art blended with models to create the illusion of greater depth. It works. You look at the dioramas and you can almost hear the hammers striking spikes, the chuffing of a steam locomotive, and the mountain winds. We enjoyed our visit to the museum, and we loved seeing the Tom Sefton collection in a setting worthy of one of the finest toy train collections in the world. The best museums are fun and they teach. By those standards, the California State Railroad Museum is a home run. By the way, the Tom Sefton exhibit is the most popular attraction at the museum.
Mike Theodorakis of Long Island is an oncologist, a doctor specializing in cancer treatment. In that type of work, you sometimes share bad days with your patients. Dr. Theodorakis learned long ago that one of the best means of therapy after a difficult day at the office was to lose himself in his train room. The room is approximately 20 feet long and 12 feet wide. The layout was designed and built by Clark Dunham Studios. Dunham is a Broadway set designer and has been using his unique talents to build impressive railroad displays across the United States. He has been featured in several TM videos, including The Station at Citigroup and The Layouts of Clark Dunham. So the limited space Dr. Theodorakis had presented a special challenge. Dunham Studios met that challenge by not limiting their vision to the flat table surface and utilizing the space all the way up to the ceiling. A signature Dunham technique is based on the term trompe-l'oeil, which means to fool the eye. Here is where the set design strategy Clark learned in show business translates perfectly to model railroading in a limited space. For starters, there is compressed perspective, which suggests greater depth and distance than there really is. Dunham accomplishes this by installing smaller objects in the background, leading up to larger objects in the foreground. See, your eye is fooled. Another trick is to make two buildings out of one. In order to maximize space for trains, this Plasticville airplane hangar is cut in half to reduce the space the model would normally take. Then both the front and rear sections are used. This gives you two buildings in less depth than the original would take, and visually you lose none of the pertinent information. Tributes to American history include presidential figures created by Marx standing near models of the White House, Lincoln Memorial, and Jefferson Memorial. Mike and his wife Ronnie are movie buffs, so there are many vignettes from many classic films: The Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, Singing in the Rain, Psycho, The Blues Brothers, Forrest Gump, and Pirates of the Caribbean. Even TV's Sanford & Son is included. The drive-in theater was created using a small flat-screen video monitor that plays vintage advertisements. Various structures on the layout represent family interest and history. Solomon Grundy's is where Mike met his wife Ronnie, who is also into collecting antiques. The Greasy Spoon is a monument to the New South Diner Mike's father owned in Bethpage, New York. When Mike goes to the Train Collectors Association meet in York, Pennsylvania, he stays at the Comfort Inn. Mike coached his sons in baseball, and they won the local Little League championship. Another of Dunham Studios' specialties is creating spectacular, stylistic backgrounds that help create the fantasy world that playing with toy trains is all about. There's Coney Island, which provides a backdrop for Mike's carnival. Lionel accessories include the Ferris wheel, merry-go-round, target practice, and test of strength. Lionel's refreshment stand works perfectly in this setting. To the left of the carnival is the New York World's Fair, complete with exhibition buildings. Visitors to the fair take the train and use the conveniently located 156 station platforms. Continuing on, we see New York's magnificent skyline, with the fabulous Empire State Building dominating the scene. An industrial backdrop is located beyond Manhattan, near the Bronx, where we find Yankee Stadium. The 1954 Lionel catalog cover maintain the fantasy aspect of the layout and bring back fond memories of Lionel's best years. But not all the walls have murals on them. On the far end of the layout, there is a scale-detailed mountainous region, with several train lines crossing the ravines and river via arched platform bridges. Can you see the face of the Indian chief in the mountainside? Accessories include the reproduction 164 log loader from 1996, a 364 log loader, and the always dependable 264 lumber loader. A Hellgate bridge and two 213 lift bridges stand next to each other on one side of the layout. Whimsical accessories include American Flyer's Cow on the Track, Lionel's Flying Airplanes, and Lionel's animated Maiden Rescue. A reproduction magnetic crane and 356 operating station round out Mike's stable of operating accessories. Mike has a few enhancements on the layout, such as these miniature animated neon signs made by Miller Engineering. There is also an animated fisherman made by Kramer Products. Mike also has an animated harness racing track. Mike has a well-rounded collection of trains. He grew up in the late 1950s and early 60s, so he prefers the military and space items from that era of Lionel production. He was one of the first to acquire the reproduction of the 44 Army train. This version is much better than the original. It is command equipped and has rail sounds. Mike is also running a Canadian Pacific F3 streamlined passenger train. A Long Island 460 10-wheeler is pulling a mixed freight. An AEC train is on the top level going through the mountains. One of the most impressive features of the train room is the very top level for the MU cars. Running the length of the track is a special girder design Dunham Studios created by making a mold of a pre-war number 270 bridge. Using the design of this bridge as inspiration, Clark and his team created an impressive upper-level display. Even in this relatively small room, Dunham Studios was able to create the illusion of a much greater area by creatively using every inch of space, including space most people would never think of using. The result? A finely detailed layout mixed with Dunham's trademark fantasy world. That combination provides an exquisite backdrop for Lionel trains and accessories.
Lionel operators and collectors often debate the merits of modern-era Lionel versus pre-war and post-war Lionel. From a collector's point of view, it's no contest. The original items produced by the Lionel Corporation before 1969 will always be of greater value than modern-era trains. But the supporters of modern-era Lionel trains will argue enhancements such as sound, more realistic smoke, and detail give their trains more play value and more realism. So we thought it would be fun to take a look and see how trains have evolved from the original classic Lionel to today's more sophisticated versions. Let's start with the Hiawatha. When the streamline age of steam locomotives began, Lionel jumped right in with a gorgeous model of the Milwaukee Roads 442 Atlantic. First cataloged in 1935, this was a fine train with the matching passenger cars coming from Lionel's M10000 streamlined diesel set. The Hiawatha became one of the most collectible pre-war sets. In 2006, 71 years after the original tin plate version was introduced, Lionel offered a new scale version that came fully loaded with all the bells and whistles of the new technologies. Incredible sounds, Trainmaster command control, the Odyssey system to control the speed, and so much detail, it looked as though the real thing was put through a miniaturizing machine.
Number 3, you are good to go. Over.
By comparison, the original version was rather plain, with a simple 3-position mechanical E unit and a 2-tone AC motor-powered air whistle. And the sounds? Well, as much as we love the original air whistle, it just doesn't compare to the deep chuffing, clanging bell, and powerful whistle of the new version. Hey, don't worry. We still love our 250E and always will. But there's no denying the new version is tight. To compare Lionel's little post-war 221 locomotive, introduced in 1946, with the scale Dreyfus Hudson is totally unfair. We admit it. It's like comparing the Red Sox to their farm team in Pawtucket. But while Lionel did not call the 221 a Dreyfus Hudson, heck, it wasn't even a Hudson. It was a 264. Hudsons are 464s. It was certainly modeled after the Dreyfus. Just take a look at the front end. Anyway, for the purposes of this story, we are calling the 221 Lionel's first Dreyfus Hudson. Lionel's next Dreyfus was produced in 1992. Made of brass, this intricately detailed model was designed for the discerning scale brass market and came in both 2- and 3-rail versions. The amount of detail and handwork was reflected in the $2,500 price tag. In 2001, Lionel introduced a scale die-cast version that cost less than half as much as the scale brass version. This nicely proportioned engine came with 8 lights, headlight, interior cab light, and 6 work lights, which illuminated the drivers. The tender also has a backup light. The 221, obviously no match for the scale versions, is nevertheless a nicely proportioned locomotive and has that Lionel feeling of quality and tradition. The original 2333 Santa Fe F3, first produced in 1948, would become the most iconic of all Lionel locomotives. It was a gorgeous model with a perfect mix of color and sleek lines, and the way it was illustrated in the Lionel catalog made it look irresistible. Every kid wanted one. The Santa Fe F3 became Lionel's best-selling engine of all time. When the scale version was introduced in 2002, you realized that the original post-war design was pretty accurate. Enhancements such as roof fans, screened vents, classification lights, pilot and undercarriage details greatly benefit this new model. But check out the windshield. Even though the scale windshields may be closer to the real thing, they look a little clubby. The post-war windshield design looks sleeker, sort of reminiscent of the chopped windshields on custom hot rods that were so cool in the 1950s. The new scale version is nice, But there's just something special about that Lionel Santa Fe F3 from the 1950s. The Pennsylvania GG1 was another classic from Lionel's bountiful post-war era. The smooth, rounded lines of the Raymond Loewy designed GG1 lent itself perfectly to Lionel's die-cast technology. First cataloged in 1947, the GG1's die-cast shell and trucks felt heavy to the touch. You couldn't help but be impressed. The GG1 also demonstrated that post-war Lionel was dedicated to bringing out exciting new products. Many Lionel enthusiasts came to accept the GG1 as an accurate model of the real thing. So when scale versions of the GG1 began to appear, some Lionel enthusiasts were shocked. They had no idea Lionel's original version was so far off the mark. The scale GG1 is a spectacular model with operating pantographs that automatically go up and down.
NC 4876, you are clear ahead. Take the green, over.
In 1957, Lionel sales continued their downward trend, especially after the Soviets launched Sputnik and all eyes turned skyward. Lionel tried to fight back by developing Super O track, which looked more realistic than the traditional tin plate track, and by releasing a new locomotive model of the streamlined Norfolk and Western 484J. The J, also referred to as the bullet nose, was the last steam locomotive to operate in the United States and was made famous by legendary railroad photographer O. Winston Link. The 746 was a top-of-the-line, sleek, streamlined locomotive, but unfortunately, post-war Lionel never made matching passenger cars. So the 746 was cataloged heading up only freight and military and space sets. The handsome J deserved better. Lionel made 4 reissues of the original 746 Type J. The first was in 1981. The number was changed to the prototypical 611, and the colors of the stripe were toned down to look more like the real J. The new scale version, produced in 2005, was bigger, bulkier, and had much more detail than the original toy model. Lionel engineers were able to capture the sounds of a real Norfolk and Western J, which gives their scale model even more authenticity. While these new scale models have much more detail, incredible sounds, and more accurate size than their toy counterparts, there's one thing they lack that the toy versions have plenty of: memories. These new trains will just have to make their own.
We first met Chuck Brasher back in 1986. Back then, we were interviewing layout builders and taking pictures for our new book, Great Toy Train Layouts of America. We visited Chuck because he had one of the finest standard gauge layouts in the world. In 1987, we filmed Chuck's layout as part of our new video series based on the book. Recently, we saw Chuck at the York Meet in Pennsylvania, and he told us we had to come back to Grass Valley because he added 28 feet to the train room. So we did. This is Chuck Brasher's new train room. It used to be merely impressive. Now it's spectacular. Back in 1987, the room measured 24 by 60, but Chuck wanted it bigger to accommodate all the trains he had acquired over the years. So he pretended he needed a new garage and office. This was the excuse he gave to add on to his house. So the next step was easy. Hey, since I'm adding on anyway, I might as well add a second story and make the train room bigger. So now Chuck's train room is still 24 feet wide, but now it's 88 feet long. And it's filled with some of the most rare and valuable standard gauge trains ever made. Chuck has definite ideas on how he approaches the hobby. First, he runs everything. Second, no repaints or reproductions allowed. And third, he's always on the lookout for a rare item he doesn't have. Chuck, what do we have here?
It's three loops run around the whole room and 27 sidings and I think 58 switches. And I have some passing sidings. They work by far the best, passing sidings, anybody that builds a layout, because you don't have to back trains up. I'm still running the whole layout on the old-time transformer way, no handheld controls and all that. And I like it. I just like it like that.
Name some of the rare items you have.
Brown state set, green state set, blue comets. I got a brass one and a nickel trim one. Prosperity special. I don't know how many there are around. There's probably maybe a dozen, something like that. But a lot of them, you go to look at them, the engines or the tenders are falling apart because the die cast just falls apart. Mine is actually in perfect shape. The tender's straight, the boiler's not cracked, and all the little posts and things around the window frames on the cab are still there. And that's where most of them are bad. Black diamond set. And then several door fan accessories that are like a door fan double signal bridge, the crane, and a lot of street lights and door fan street lights. The roundhouse sections are always pretty eye-catching, and Lionel, and then the Lionel three-piece 921 landscape that has the 9 houses on it. And then the big tunnel, I have the largest tunnel I made. It's almost 6 feet long, big tunnel. Paper, thin paper tunnel. Then I have the 140 metal tunnel and every other tunnel I now made for standard gauge. And 3 or 4 Ives tunnels. And I have the Ives glass dome station, an early one, like about 1915, and then I have a later one, 1926. The Aero monorail, it's A-E-R-O. Made in St. Louis around 1931. Seems to be really rare, like almost none. There's maybe, I know of mine is complete and operating, and there's one little circle that's operating, and then I know of one other that's only half there, and that's all I know of, period. And then the other monorail I have is the Leland Detroit. It's the largest one they made, a figure 8, which is, it's a good monorail, but they don't climb the hill on a figure 8 the way they ought to, but that's engineering for you. The Aero's around 1931, and so's the Leland Detroit. 31, right, they made them right prior to the Chicago World's Fair that was 33, I think. Oh, I have the airplane. I have a Lionel number 55 airplane with a cardboard base that flies good. It doesn't loop. None of them loop. And then I have a airplane that has two airplanes, a blue and gold one that says Spirit of St. Louis. It was made in 1928 in Adrian, Michigan. That's just flies around and around. Pretty neat little airplane. Right by the Lionel racetrack, that I have a double track racetrack there with some extra straight track. It made kind of a long oval, which runs pretty good, being 90 some years old. We have a cardboard Union Station made in 1928 by American Flyer. Pretty hard one to get. I mean, figure cardboard lasting that long.
Some rare items Chuck didn't mention include the Lionel hand cars, 4 variations of the Mickey hand car, plus Santa Claus, Donald Duck, and a boxed Peter Rabbit. The Harmony Creamery car, the Ives Olympian, a Lionel 385 in green, a pristine Lionel stove, a door fan station, a boxed 9U set, the 194 Ives black hopper with decals rather than rubber stamp markings, American Flyer crossing signal, an Ives blinking signal made by Lionel, the rare Edison service power station, common versions just say power station, the Lionel 116 double station, the rare Madison hardware version of the 442 Lionel diner, Ives tomato soup car with no spout. Chuck's layout is powered by unusual Bakelite transformer cases. Most are solid black. Here's the rare salmon version of the 124 Lionel City Station. This is the common color. And the Ives water tower. Too hard to find American Flyer sets are the Flying Colonel and Legionnaire. What's on your want list?
Oh, I need to get a white Ives. I wouldn't mind having a National Limited, a couple other various Ives sets, and I'm always looking for different variations in accessories, stations, signals, and things that I don't have.
What about that state set that sold for over $225,000?
Well, it's more than that. That was the 400E with 4 green state cars with ivory windows that was sold on Stout's auction, and I think it was $238,000. Then he paid $5,000 to have it brought out west where he lived.
You're satisfied now, right? No more additions?
I'm going to put another little small extension with shelves in my train room to really prominently display the circus set because it's that good an item. I'm going to display it exactly like they show it in the Ives catalog.
Then you'll be done.
Well, then we have to save money to buy something else.
Now, if you know standard gauge, then you know the trains in this room are among the most desirable and hardest to find standard gauge trains in the world. Congratulations, Chuck.
Whether you have a big layout or small, everyone wants to run more trains. Even if you don't have the space to add another loop, you may have enough to add an independent single line. And it's easy to do. All you need are some inexpensive Lionel accessories, track, and locomotive. This is a common 3-position E-unit. This is the 2-position version. Lionel used the two-position E-units for the lower-end products such as Alcos and switchers. These engines are generally ignored by collectors, so you should be able to find them at a good price. Many of the automatic stop accessories are also reasonable. The 132 station and 253 block signal can both be found for around $50 each. Lionel has made several other stations and signals with the automatic stop feature. The train stops because current to the center rail is cut off when a thermostatic strip heats up and bends a contact away, interrupting the circuit. After a few moments, the thermostatic strip cools and the contact returns to its original position, completing the electrical circuit and restoring power to the center rail. The installation of these items is very simple. We're going to use Lionel's Fast Track for this demonstration. In addition to the track for the independent line, you will need two bumper sections and two insulated block sections of track. I found a pair of 1-inch insulated sections at my local hobby store, but the 5-inch sections are fine. Remember to remove the jumper wire from the middle rail in the underside of the track. On one end, you should have 2 or 3 sections of track between the bumper and the block section to allow the locomotive to stop without hitting the bumper. How long your train is will determine how much track you need at the opposite end. Install an automatic stop accessory at each end inside the block. You may need to refer to the directions of that particular accessory. Then place the locomotive on the track with the E-unit switched on and slowly power up. The idea is to give enough power to the train so it doesn't move too fast or start and stop abruptly. You can also adjust the amount of time the signals or stations hold the train. Now you have more action. It was easy to do, and it didn't cost very much.
Joshua Lionel Cowan founded the Lionel Train Company in 1900, and for the next 70 years, Lionel had its headquarters in New York. Their best-known location was at 15 East 26th Street. Several gigantic display layouts were located in this building, including the famous 1949 showroom layout. In 1970, when MPC acquired the rights to manufacture Lionel trains, the headquarters were moved to Mount Clemens, Michigan.
In 2005, Lionel returned to New York, opening an office 6 blocks away from the old 26th Street location. While the offices are located on the 11th floor, the showroom is on the 2nd floor. An impressive neon sign with the Lionel Electric Trains logo is near the ceiling on the far wall. Below is a display wall that features some of the packaged train sets. But that's static. What grabs everyone's attention is action. The idea behind dealer display layouts is to make Lionel trains and accessories irresistible. If a potential customer can see the trains in action, hear the sounds, see the smoke, he will become a buyer. This theory worked for Lionel in the past, and Lionel is betting that it will work again today. These new display layouts, built by TW Design of Dallas, Texas, use Lionel's new Fast Track and current trains and accessories. In addition to the fine landscape layout on the table surface, There is also an impressive recreation of the bridge featured on the cover of the Lionel 1952 catalog. This is a reproduction of a D-133 display. The idea is to show off box train sets, rather than lots of train and accessory action. Box sets are the key to Lionel's future. They play a huge role in attracting new and younger customers. We love the striking green arch with the illuminated Lionel Trains sign at the top. It's effective because it catches your eye. But Lionel's return to New York was more than just leasing a floor and setting up desks and chairs in an office building. Lionel's CEO, Jerry Calabrese, had a vision. He wanted to recapture the magic of the early 1950s, not only with new showroom layouts, but by creating action-packed displays in some of New York's most famous stores. To carry out his vision, Jerry commissioned Roger Farkash and his TW design team out of Dallas, Texas. Jerry and Roger designed 3 layouts for FAO Schwarz, the legendary toy store. They were inspired by Lionel dealer display layouts from the past.
The first is a recreation of an attractive pre-war era display. 2 trains run on simple circles of track. Various locomotives and rolling stock are displayed on shelves. The exhibit has a classic Art Deco theme, which fits perfectly with Lionel, New York, and railroads. Crossing signals, an operating freight station, industrial water tower, and oil derrick dot the landscape.
Jerry knew that many customers did not have a lot of space, so he wanted to show that even a small layout can create excitement by using Lionel accessories.
Finally, there is a 5x9 landscape display layout which includes 3 trains in action on an impressive mountain and prairie setting. Accessories include the industrial water tower, station platform, tunnel portals, extension bridge, and Lionelville buildings. This layout demonstrates how you can get lots of train action in a limited space. Macy's, the iconic department store, means Christmas to New Yorkers. From the movie Miracle on 34th Street to impressive Christmas displays and events. While people wait in line to see Santa Claus and Santaland, they are treated to a beautiful action-packed layout housed in a Christmas-themed depot. In the center is a Christmas tree, with several trains running around it. Not just along the bottom, but at various levels leading to the top. The large layout inside the depot features a trolley line taking people from the city to the holiday Fantasyland. Several trains run through and around mountains and cities. Of course, many Lionel accessories are featured, including the F3 cab welding crew, stations, signals, illuminated structures, and light towers. In addition to the Lionel product, TW Design has created an impressive landscape. Long winding roads, snowy mountains, and busy yards all combine to create a railroad empire that isn't just a series of individual vignettes. They make sense by generally modeling real-life cities and towns, both urban and suburban. Outside the depot is another display which features 2 trains on a simple 2-level layout protected by glass, which is being cleaned by one of Santa's helpers. Grand Central Terminal, the most famous train station in the country, includes many shops for the commuters and tourists to visit. One of these is the New York Transit Museum Gallery Annex, which includes a store offering railroad-themed products for adults and children. During the holidays, Lionel installs a spectacular 20-foot-long multi-level display, which is a magnet for holiday shoppers. The design of the layout tells a story, beginning with Christmas under the tree. As we move along, we find ourselves in busy New York City, complete with an 8-foot-tall model of the Empire State Building, and of course, Grand Central Terminal. Industrial complexes are intertwined with operating accessories like the gantry crane. The multi-level layout includes an intricate arch-under bridge designed to spark memories of the 1952 catalog cover. There's also a subway system and finely detailed streets, complete with people and vehicles. Lionel's various brick storefront buildings have been easily adjusted by adding or removing the floor segments. Then we proceed to a quiet residential area. Finally, we are at the North Pole in a magical wintry setting with whimsical, colorful trains running through icy tunnels and Santa and his reindeer flying through the sky. New York, Christmas, and Lionel trains. It doesn't get any better than that. Well, it's time to go. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time in Lionel Nation Part 2.
Everyone loves that clickety-clack coming down the track. They can't ignore that all aboard, the smoke pouring out the stack. Hear that whistle blow as the train pulls out of the station. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel Nation. Clouds of smoke are rising high into a big blue sky. Down the line, right on time, a train is rolling by. Everyone turns around and stares in anticipation. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's the Lionel Nation. Shining gleam, that mighty sound and steam. Pistons pound around and round, just like in a dream. Another train pulls in and arrives at its destination. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's the Lionel Nation. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's the Lionel Nation.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Snyder and welcome to the Lionel Train's 100th anniversary. Let's go back to the beginning, to a loft at 24 Murray Street.
the growth of the company, the great job that Joshua Lionel Cowan did starting in 1900, the development of the Lionel trains, the hobby, the marketing, the promotion of it. He was a master at all of that. He was a great innovator. I think Lionel has always been an innovator down through the years. They've done some great stuff.
It's still such a mystery how that old Lionel brings out the kid in me. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. One day, many years ago, I remember my first toy train. I opened up the box so carefully, and I knew Lionel was staring up at me. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. My Lionel train, my Lionel train.
New Lionel DVD Boxed Set Collection. Wall-to-wall Lionel action at huge savings. From TM, the leader in toy train video production. The Magic of Lionel, now available in a 4-DVD special edition boxed set. 20 layouts, interviews, tips, stories, and fun. Order now. Lionel Action 4-DVD boxed set includes Lionel accessories, parts 1 and 2. See pre-war, post-war, and modern era operating accessories, all in action, along with tips on installation, boxes, and rare variations. Lionel 00 and HO, a fascinating study of 2 gauges which played important roles in Lionel's history. The history of Lionel traces Lionel from 1900 to the remaking of the fabulous scale Hudson in 1990. Pre-war and post-war legends, interviews with former Lionel owner Richard Kuhn. 4-DVD boxed set. Order now. Lionel the Movie, a delightful mix of great train action, music, and fun, plus vintage Lionel films and commercials. 3-DVD boxed set. Order now. These impressive boxed sets are guaranteed to thrill and delight both the experienced enthusiast and the novice.
I love Toy Trains, one of the most popular children's series in the country. See toy trains, real trains, funny toy train bloopers, oh, no. And the music of award-winning singer-songwriter James Coffey. 12 shows on 4 90-minute DVDs, plus the final show, a 45-minute special, and oh no, wall-to-wall laughs and fun. 14 shows, all on 6 DVDs. Awards include the prestigious Parents' Choice. For more information, call 800-892-2822 or visit us on the web at tmbv.com.
It's a wonderful kind of feeling. That's the reason I love toy trains.
What do Frank Sinatra, Tom Snyder, and Mandy Patinkin have in common? They are all featured in TM's new Celebrity Train Layout series.
We have the bumper cars there and the Flying Bobs and the Gravitron.
Every Christmas we got something new. The Bascule Bridge, the log loader, the 397 coal loader,